If there is not a fire burning in your heart that longs to spread to every prison, emptying them out, reducing them to ash and rubble, then you don't know what world you are living in. You don't know control unit suicides, humans reduced to hands full of pills, to hands displaying makeshift razors through narrow reinforced windows, begging to have the master's tools taken away from them, begging the COs to save them from what the COs have made them, the shit-smeared razor cuts, bedsheet nooses, confined conflagrations, legal briefs, and case law stacked knee-high on the concrete is at least flammable. If nothing else, these papers could go up in a relieving blaze, finally serving the pursuit of freedom they so long promised, but withheld. Immolation is another way to end suffering. When it happens, whether by noose or knife, by pills or by fire, an alarm goes up. The emergency call buttons don't work, never worked, so everyone kicks their doors and shouts, man down, save our souls. But the COs come slow, and they shrug. There's nothing unexpected about a person ending a life of torture. If there is not a fire, smoldering under wet blankets you've carefully arranged to get through your days, but unextinguishable, reignited with each salvo of bullets tearing through black flesh on your computer screen, reignited by the dark eyes on a mugshot of an 18-year-old who hung herself in solitary, if that fire doesn't threaten your life every day, then you and I must live in different worlds. But if there is a fire, burning in your chest as in mine, smothered but burning, soaked with a deluge of your tears but burning, stamped and pummeled to oblivion but burning, wished and prayed and begged out but raging still, that fire doesn't need to smolder there. Doesn't need to choke you with its slow curls of noxious smoke, of hopeless endeavors, of shrugging shoulders, reconciled to defeat. You can open your heart and spill your angry flames into the world. It is a fragile world, standing heavy on unstable history, flammable as a house of paper. This world is nothing other than paper and us. It works through us, having no power other than us. It sets us against us, gets us burning our own selves up, and it will burn you up until you learn to blow it back. To open up your blast furnace, spewing embers and sparks, tongues of flame, billowing smoke, a moving wall of intolerable heat. Be less afraid, because an enemy cowardly enough to shoot black men dead this often is weak. An enemy who cannot hold a precious human without breaking, torturing, driving her into ever smaller boxes until she turns up dead in one of them is utterly without defense. You don't need to take up arms. You don't even need to take the streets. There are many ways that you can tend our flames. We can damage this enemy with words, with paperwork and letters and love. If you put your fire in an envelope, it may kindle flames in a body deemed disposable. A body gasping for air inside a box designed to suffocate it. We can damage this enemy with our hearts, make ourselves its witness, our voices and eyes. Just listen and repeat. All that we need is to reach through the bars and hold the trembling hand of someone who refuses to comply with a direct order. The walls will turn to ash and crumble. Do this not because you feel pity or some charitable obligation to the cause, but because you know in your heart, in this smoky and raw cavity below your ribs, that while another person suffers, you are never free. We are all very anxious, alone, without power, glued to screens and overwhelmed by secondary trauma, virtual trauma, hyper trauma, a zeitgeist of feverish, useless, but exhausting obsession with trauma. but the confined ask only that we use our freedoms wisely, that we turn away from distraction and anxiety, give up the numbing potions, the dopamine triggers, the performances of doing being okay, and find instead a place for them in our flammable hearts. Our cure is in clasped hands. Our cure is in angry chants. Our cure is in work parties, in our feet and hands and voices. Our cure is in fighting to fucking win. Because it feels good to hurt a fascist. Good and necessary. It tends your fire, keeps you up and alive, authentic and whole. If there is not a fire of solidarity burning in you, I want to start one. I want to put the pen to paper, the kindling in your hand, and matches, protest banners, stacks of flyers, U-locks, pitchforks, and torches. I want you to tend your fire. If for no other reason than because when the prisons are done suffocating their current captives and suffocating the next class, the next batch of surplus population, the next group of precarious workers thrown to correctional dogs by ruling class austerity measures, it will eventually get around to smothering you. This fucking enemy called my mother a thug. My white, middle-aged, college-educated, elementary school-teaching mother. It called her a terrorist, and then it stole from her pension. Very few of us are fucking safe from this thing. There is a seesaw over an inferno, and while you might feel and look different from those below you, those sliding off the edge, breaking their fingernails in desperate grips, the enemy is raising the angle, though, increasing the slope toward the incinerator which yawns at all of us. If there is not a fire wanton inside of you, clouding your vision, causing you panic, a blaze of impending doom always there, tightening up tendons at the base of your neck, pulling you so many ways, piling ever smaller stresses until you're fit to choke or snap out, if you don't feel the gravity, see the precipice, and fear the heat of those flames, then you aren't paying attention. But if there is a fire, then you should know who built it. You should know that we have enemies. Your body is warning you of danger. Why would you ignore it? Stop scrabbling at the ankles of those above you while kicking off those below. Recognize greedy hands are creeping towards your own throat, and they look like yours, but the enemy moves them closer as it slides us all down the incinerator chute. Instead of all that, instead of living in fear of the thug and the terrorists that run amok within you, instead of cutting each other, instead of ever smaller boxes, instead of waiting to show up in the array of suicide mugshots, we could fight together. 'Cause if we did, we would win.